Alright, let's dive into something that's been bubbling up in the news lately, and it's a doozy. Imagine this: the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most critical choke points in global trade, is at the center of a high-stakes negotiation between Iran and Oman. And guess who's chiming in? President Trump, hinting that a deal could be announced today or tomorrow. But here's the kicker: this isn't just about reopening a waterway. It's about geopolitics, power, and the future of the Middle East. So let's break this down. First off, what makes this really interesting is the sheer complexity of the negotiations. Iran and Oman are reportedly close to agreeing on a plan where ships entering the strait would use an Iranian-controlled route, while those exiting would use an Omani-controlled one. Sounds simple, right? Wrong. What many people don't realize is that this setup could fundamentally alter the balance of power in the region. Iran, which has long been isolated, would suddenly have a significant say in the movement of global trade. From my perspective, this isn't just about logistics, it's about Iran reclaiming a seat at the table, and that's a big deal. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the US stance. Trump has been vocal about not allowing Iran to charge tolls for using the strait. He even said, "I'm not going to let them charge. Anybody's going to charge, we'll charge." Personally, I think this is classic Trump, bold, confrontational, and a bit unpredictable. But here's the thing: the US has already used nearly all of its long-range precision missiles in the war with Iran. That's right, folks. We're talking about a military that's running low on its most advanced weaponry. If you take a step back and think about it, this raises a deeper question: how sustainable is the US's military strategy in the region? And what does this mean for future conflicts? Another detail I find fascinating is the role of Oman in all of this. Oman has historically played the role of a neutral mediator in the Middle East, but this time, they're stepping into a much more active role. In my opinion, this could be a game-changer for Omani diplomacy. By brokering this deal, Oman isn't just facilitating trade, they're positioning themselves as a key player in regional stability. What this really suggests is that smaller nations can have outsized influence when they play their cards right. But let's not forget the human cost of all this. The UN rights chief, Volker Turk, recently expressed alarm over the surge in executions in Iran, particularly those linked to anti-government protests. Over 50 people have been executed since March, and many more are at risk. This raises a deeper question: can we separate geopolitical negotiations from human rights concerns? Personally, I think it's impossible, and frankly, irresponsible, to ignore these issues. If we're talking about reopening the Strait of Hormuz, we need to also talk about the people living under the regime that controls it. Finally, let's zoom out for a second. The Strait of Hormuz isn't just a waterway, it's a symbol of global interdependence. Oil tankers, cargo ships, and military vessels all pass through it, making it a flashpoint for international tensions. What this really suggests is that any deal struck here will have ripple effects far beyond the Middle East. From my perspective, this is a moment that could redefine global trade routes, geopolitical alliances, and even the rules of international diplomacy. So here's my closing thought: as we watch these negotiations unfold, let's not just focus on the deal itself. Let's think about what it means for the people involved, the power dynamics at play, and the broader implications for our interconnected world. What do you think? Is this a step toward stability, or just another chapter in a long history of conflict? Let me know in the comments below.